We got a handful of picks today. Not as much in the soccer realm as you would think. Not a great slate for Saturday. I think a lot of the big games are going to be on Sunday due to a lot of Champions League and Europa League stuff. So let's get into the soccer. No tennis tomorrow. We're in the semis and finals for the Montpellier and Singapore Open, and just didn't like any of the odds there. So we're going to go to soccer. We're going to start out in the Bundesliga with a 3-team parlay that pays 4.8 to 1. We're going to go with Bayern Munich -1 versus FC Cologne, Borussia Dortmund -1 versus Bielefeld, and RB Leipzig -1 versus Mönchengladbach. This will be a tough one to hit, but I think Munich and Dortmund for sure will win by more than one. These are two of the bottom teams in the Bundesliga. The Leipzig one is a little trickier because they do tend to struggle to score. Gladbach's coming off a bad Champions League loss during the week. Their coach is already leaving to Dortmund. It's just probably a bad situation there. So I think RB Leipzig will be able to handle it. I like the -1 because I do think they'll win by 1 goal. So if you can get the other two and get the Leipzig by at least 1 goal, you at least get a push and you'll win some money there. If you can hit all three, I definitely, that's a really nice payout, almost 5 to 1 on that one. And then we'll go to La Liga. And Sevilla, draw no bet, +125 versus Barcelona. These teams are a lot closer than you think. I think you're getting pretty good value here with Sevilla getting plus versus Barcelona at +125. And you get a push on the draw here. So I think that's really good value, like Sevilla here at +125 versus Barcelona. A little scary to see you take against Barcelona, but I do definitely think that it's good value. So that's all the soccer we have for Saturday. The Premier League just didn't have a ton of matchups I liked, nor did Serie A. I liked a little bit of the PSG to win by more than 2 goals, but its price just wasn't right. So light soccer day on a Saturday. We'll move into the NBA. Not a light NBA night. We're going with 4 games today. We're going to continue to ride the Sacramento Kings -2.5 versus Detroit Pistons. Kings now on a 7-game losing streak. It might be 8. I've lost count. I think I've taken them 3 straight times. They haven't won. They haven't even covered. They've just been brutal. They were terrible last night versus the Knicks. Weren't guarding anybody. Hopefully they can have a bounce back versus the Pistons. Sacramento Kings -2.5. Then we're going to go with the Chicago Bulls +7.5 versus the Phoenix Suns. Really like this line here. I think the Bulls will cover this pretty easy. We've taken the Bulls a couple times in these big games, and they just tend to hang around and play really well in these big games. I look for that to continue. Next up, we're going with the Oklahoma City Thunder +5.5 versus the Atlanta Hawks. The best team against the spread versus one of the worst teams against the spread. Just really like Oklahoma City to cover this line. 5.5 at home. Too many points. Don't like the Hawks on the road. Don't know if there's that much of a difference. You get the West versus the East. Just a lot of good things going in here. And lastly, we're going with the Portland Trailblazers, who are on a 3-game losing streak, +4.5 versus the Los Angeles Lakers. Just look for Portland to bounce back here. They're still overrating the Lakers without Anthony Davis. It's a one-man team right now. Do they get Schroeder back today? Yes, but I don't know what kind of form he's going to be in. He's been out 2 weeks, so I don't think that will be as big of input right now until maybe a couple games when Schroeder can get his sea legs back. But I really like Portland here, losing 3 straight. I look for him to cover this +4.5. This should be a really tight battle as both teams have played poor in the last week, and I just like Portland to cover this 4.5. Way too many points for this very, very poor Lakers team here. As long as they aren't going to adjust on the Lakers, we'll continue to take against them. All right, 3 games in college we're going to go with. First, we're going to bring in our man, Dynamite David, out on a remote to give his picks. Dynamite, what you got for
Everybody,
us?
Dynamite David here with your Dynamite picks for today. Not a lot of great games today, but a lot of games that Champ you typically pick. So I'm gonna delve into the realm of those lower tier teams, and I've got 5 picks for everybody today. Start out with I like St. Louis -4.5 versus Richmond. UTSA +4.5 versus UAB. Fresno State +6.5 at UNLV. And then I like Utah State -7.5 back at home versus Nevada. I think they're going to bounce back from a tough road trip to back-to-back losses at Boise State, and they're going to win big tonight at home versus Nevada. And then finally, one of the bigger games tonight, I like Purdue plus the 1.5 at Penn State. Purdue seems to struggle on the road a little bit, but not at Penn State. They've won 3 straight there, and I look for them to continue that trend tonight and get another solid win. Back to you, champ.
All right, thanks, Dynamite. Those are some Dynamite picks. Now let's get into my picks. I got 3 picks today. We're going with St. Louis minus 4.5 versus Richmond. Tough game here to handicap. St. Louis just hasn't been the same since they had that major COVID break. They got into a little bit of a rhythm in mid-February. They're coming off 2 straight losses to Dayton and VCU. Now those are away games. They're back at home. I look for them to get back on track here. I do think this is a really, really good team. And it's just unfortunate about the COVID break. They were just playing really, really good basketball. Then they, had to miss a whole month of the season. They come back. It's Dayton LaSalle. They lose those 2 games, find back a rhythm, and then it's Dayton and VCU on the road. But I think they'll be all right at home. I look for them to cover this. St. Louis minus the 4.5. Next, we're going to go to Marshall versus North Texas. A really sort of sneaky good game here. Really 2 very solid teams in Conference USA. I look for Marshall to take this one at home here. North Texas, that's a really pretty far road trip to West Virginia. So I just think this will be a really nice spread here at 3.5. These teams are about similar talent and skill-wise, so it should be a close game, but I do look for Marshall to take the advantage at home here and take this one and cover the 3.5. And next, we'll go to the MAC. We're going to write Akron minus 3.5 versus Bowling Green. Akron coming off a bad loss to Ohio, but before that, they had won 4 straight games. So I just look for Akron to get back on track at home versus Bowling Green. Bowling Green, who is back on track after a bad stretch of their own, losing 6 straight. They won 3 straight, starting with that big win versus Toledo. But then their next 2 wins are versus Ball State and Eastern Michigan, the lower tier teams in the MAC. So I look for them to not be able to handle Akron on the road. Look for Akron to cover this. Really like the Zips today, minus 3.5. That's our college basketball picks. Those are our picks for February 26th, 27th. Be sure to follow us on greenlightnetwork.org, Greenlight Network on Facebook, Greenlight Network on YouTube. I'm GLN Champ 5 on Twitter and Instagram. That's our show, and we're out.